my name is Elias, and my goal is to make aging and death completely optional. For that, I am trying to build a world-class understanding of AI, machine learning, and biology. And what you're watching here is kind of my personal diary where I share my journey, where I share my struggles, and where I share my reflections on that road of hard work and hopefully very, very big outcomes. So I thought about it like a bit. I would like to give my month names, and this is March, is Machine Learning March because I did a lot of machine learning. I did so much machine learning that at some point I stopped doing machine learning courses and I just started to build machine learning algorithms from scratch. Like I built a neural network, I built a linear regressor, logistic regressor. I built a decision tree, which was way harder than I thought. I thought decision trees are easy because conceptually they are very easy, but to build them actually was not as easy as I thought. It turned out to work, but it took a bit longer. So machine learning March. In total, I worked 325 hours and 32 minutes, which is 10 hours and 30 minutes every day. And I'm saying this like it's completely normal, but it's crazy. It's very crazy to me. 10 hours and 30 minutes every day. Focused work means not 10 hours and 30 minutes sitting in a library, which itself would be crazy. No, it means 10 hours and 30 minutes every day of focused work on a goal. Like if I go to the toilet, I stop the timer. If I go eat something, I stop the timer. If I talk to somebody, I stop the timer. I use a time tracking app, so it's like I know it on the minute. I also publish a CSV in case you don't believe me. It's on my website, so you can check it out and do some data analysis on it if you would like to. Please share the results if you learned something interesting. Actually, I also learned some interesting stuff from data analysis this month, but I'm going to share that later. Because now, first, I'm going to share a bit like just what I did this month. So, beginning of this month, actually, I made a cool presentation. If you listen to this on Spotify, there you can also watch the video, but listening to this is also fine. If you watch this on YouTube, you have the video anyway. And if you listen to this as podcast just on the side, it's fine. I'm going to just explain what you see. So as I said, 325 hours and 32 minutes of focused work, which is ridiculous. 10 hours, 30 minutes every day, including weekends. Yes, ridiculous. 100 hours I spent on machine learning. I spent a lot of time on a book called Molecular Biology of the Cell by Bruce Alberts. I already introduced this last month. It's a fundamental biology textbook, which I'm trying to read, or which I am reading cover to cover to get to build like fundamental understanding of biology. And after I build this really strong understanding, I will try to go very deep into aging and longevity and specialize in something, but I don't think it's smart to start specializing before I even have like a good fundamental understanding. So I took this book which is 1,600 pages, and I started reading this last month. Last month I already spent like around 100 hours. This month I spent another 68 hours, and I am on page 350, which is not so much, but actually it is a lot because I'm going really slow and I'm trying to understand everything in this book. And I'm really proud of the progress I'm making. I'm really proud that I'm sticking with it. It's a lot of hours. Also, I had exams this week. This week. But this month, cognitive neuroscience, data structures and algorithms, computational linguistics, and advanced programming. They went very, very well. Very good grades. But let's go a bit to the time tracker, and then I can show a bit more in detail what I did this month. So as you see, like in the beginning, in the first, let's say 2 weeks, there's a lot of this dark green. Dark green is my Learn Biology project, which means essentially just molecular biology of the cell by Bruce Alberts. So in that time, I just take this book and I'm reading, I'm taking a lot of notes and I'm trying to understand everything. Then this blue stuff here, this is coding. This is my Learn Coding project. Learn AI, learn machine learning, and learn computer science. That for that, I started with the machine learning specialization from Deep Learning AI. This is also quite way known, and a lot of my friends that are like in the AI masters, and they recommended it to me. They were like, yeah, I learned in this course more than I learned in, I don't know, most of my bachelor. So I started doing that, and it's really good. I'm like Andrew Ng, big respect to him. I can really recommend this course. It's called Deep Learning Specialization. It's free on the internet. It's by Stanford and Deep Learning AI, and it's just an extremely good fundamental course if you like really want to understand it. Because of course it's fundamental. You will not really understand it as I don't know, people that work very long in it, but I think it's an extremely good course because you actually get walked through the math a bit. And yeah, I did this course, and at some point I was like, oh, I think I understand it. And to see if I really understand it, first I was taking notes, and I'm like, that feels kind of meaningless to take notes on like some principles of machine learning. Like, how could I do better? Like, how could I actually make sure that I understand instead of writing theoretical stuff down? Because I was also writing a lot of pseudocode. I was like, okay, so neural networks work like this, and you have like, I just built like a for loop that is like the layers of the neural network and that like iterates over. And someone I was like, yeah, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to write all this pseudocode. I can just try to write actual code and try to write an actual neural network completely from scratch. So that's what I did, and that is what you see. Like, let me use my mouse. It's like what you see here, which is like from the 7th to the 15th, where I did a lot of coding, and that was mainly this. So yeah, coding them from scratch. And after that, you see the rest of my month is mainly green and a little bit of red. Red is flashcards. I use Anki flashcards for exam. It's just such a hack. I don't understand why so many people don't do that. Like, I do flashcards and immediately I have like, I don't know, like in cognitive neuroscience I had 99%. And it's not that I learned super long. It's just the flashcards, and if you do the right learning technique, it works very well, but also doesn't matter. So this green stuff is my is university. I study cognitive science and artificial intelligence, and this is exam season. Before the exam season, I had to do for my machine learning course. There was a project where you have to classify turtles' age. You have to regression. So you get a data set. It's a dummy data set with like turtles, and you have their shell weight, you have their shell size, you have what else? You have their gender, you have like a bunch of stuff, and then you have to predict their age. So and I started doing that. And in the past, when I was still studying psychology, and there was like some project and I was not really interested, I just tried to get it done as fast as possible. And also like using a lot of ChatGPT and just like kind of like duct taping stuff together. And this was like not fun at all, especially if ChatGPT doesn't work properly. It's not fun, and at the same time it's also like you don't really learn stuff if you use ChatGPT. So now for machine learning, because I'm like, I actually want to learn this, and why should I only do I do the CS50 courses from Harvard, I do the deep learning AI courses from Stanford, and then my own uni gives me a machine learning course, but this, no, go to ChatGPT. So I think that's would be a very big mistake in thinking. So what I decided to do is that I'm just gonna actually do it really well. I'm gonna really focus on how, I'm just gonna really focus on making a good assignment. And I learned a lot about how to write papers. It's the first time in my life I actually used LaTeX to write a scientific paper looking like thing, which was just my report. But I put a lot of love into this, and it turned out that it's so much more fun if you put a lot of love into your exercises. And it took me very long. I think I spent like 30 hours on this assignment, which is way longer than it probably should have taken. But I think this is okay because I took the time to really understand, okay, how does matplotlib work? How does scikit-learn? Scikit-learn? I'm not like how does how do those libraries work, and how do I apply them properly? Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. In the end, it was also very long, but I think it turned out to be a good turtle age prediction algorithm that I built, and I learned a lot from that. After those courses were over, I had my courses. As I said, I had a cognitive neuroscience course, which was very interesting because it's connected to the biology stuff I want to learn anyway. And if you want to solve aging, you also have to kind of figure out the brain. Of course, like, this course is not crazy focused on biology, because it's cognitive neuroscience, so it's a lot about also cognitive theories, like mainly actually like how does the mind work, how do different parts, like, okay, how does the hippocampus influence memory, how does a lot about memory, a lot about like senses, and in general how the brain works, but extremely interesting. And that was a good course. I also had a course on computational linguistics, and a friend of mine that took that course a couple of years ago was like, that's not a good course. Like, we were like looking through the course that I have to do, and he was giving like not bullshit, and this was one of the bullshit courses. But it turns out that I really enjoy this course because computational linguistics, if you could think, oh, it's kind of meaningless, like we play with words. Actually, like, we play with pseudo words, so we play with words that don't even exist. We make up words and then we look into language models, like how they deal with that. But this whole idea of playing with language is, it's a crazy complicated thing. And computational linguistics, I'm not sure if I can explain what computational linguistics is. So computational linguistics is the study of language, and computational linguistics is just applying computational methods towards understanding, modeling, creating language. So what we do is, like, this is what ChatGPT is, but of course there's also a lot of stuff that we did that is pre-ChatGPT. So, like, how does word n-gram models work? How do fast text encode text, and different approaches. And the interesting thing about that is that language is, in a way, it's such a complicated problem, and people have been working on that so much, and we actually made a lot of progress. Like, if you look at GPT, and then it's like, we're really getting somewhere. So just as this general thinking about, like, how do you solve complex problems with computation, this was extremely valuable to me, and I really enjoyed this course. Also, I had data structures and algorithms and advanced programming, but both those courses were, like, very easy. I didn't really have to study a lot, because all this machine learning before, all this, actually, I really deeply started coding only in the beginning of this year. Like, before that I was always, like, coding a bit, but there was not real deep understanding. And now that I did CS50 computer science, CS50 Python, CS50 AI, CS50 is a online course from Harvard. They're really good. I really recommend them. And machine learning specialization. Now an advanced programming course is like, oh, I know that. So I don't really have to study. I just go to the exam and it's going to be good. Data structures and algorithms the same, even more. So yeah, that was kind of what I did this month. And I also wanted to share a bit about my struggles. And this month, I really noticed, like, it's the third month in a row now that I have this ridiculous amount of work output. So I started in January, and in January, for some reason, I was like, I did a 7 days fast in January where I like didn't eat anything for 7 days, and after or in those 7 days, I did nothing but work. Like there was, yeah, crazy. There was no distraction. Like I usually listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and in that month, in that week, I didn't listen to any podcasts. I was just like either working, or working out, or sleeping, or that's it. That was literally it for a whole week. And after this week, it was like something flipped inside of me, and I kept this incredible focus and incredible dedication, which before I was also working hard, but not 70-hour hard. Like a 70-hour work week is a lot. Like you don't really do a lot of other things in a 70-hour work week. So from January, I started to work really, really hard, and now it's already third month. And in this month, I kind of noticed like, okay, I don't know, it's not so fun anymore. Like there's like, it's just hard. Sometimes I'm just pushing. I'm just like, I don't want to work, but I'm working because for some reason I managed to build this willpower that allows me to like, oh, I don't want to work. Well, I don't care. It's not about if I want to or not right now. I decided I'm going to work, so I'm going to work. So I'm pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's just not so much fun. And then this month, like there was a couple of evenings where, like, I don't know, my personality is just I'm trying to optimize everything. So I'm like, so what I do currently is that my meals are like super optimized, and I go to the gym, then I go to the sauna, then while I cool down from the sauna, I eat my dinner, then I shower, then I come here, and then it's like straight to work. And what I did on those days was like, okay, on the way home I put podcasts in, because of course every minute that I am not working on anything focused, I have to listen to podcasts, because otherwise I would waste some time. So I put the podcast in, I come home, and I'm like, oh, I can snack a bit more. So I start snacking a couple of nuts, and then I have a kind of bit of more, and then I start eating a couple of blueberries that I have in my freezer, and then I started eating a little bit more, and I listen to a bit more podcasts, and like I keep feeling more and more shit in a way, because also this like in the back of your head, like, oh, I should be working right now, but I'm not. And also this podcast thing, I don't know, it's not. Always listening to podcasts, I don't think it's good for my mind. I really noticed that. And so I had like a couple of days where in the evening it was 2 hours, okay? So it's not a lot, but in the end I spent like, okay, maybe even a bit more, like just that I kind of didn't really work. I just listened to podcasts, and all this, I really noticed that it didn't make me really happy. Like this was not the type of break that you want. Like this was a break after which I felt less energized than before, and that's a very bad sign. What I want is a break where I feel more energized than before. So what I decided exactly 7 days ago is I went to my best friend, Mark. He's also doing those recordings. You can check him out. Like his website is markkagac.com. He's really cool. He's also trying to solve aging. We're converging on many things. So essentially, I told him like, hey, I think this podcast thing is not so good. I want to try for 1 week to not listen to any podcasts, and to like no like these distractions, like no listening to podcasts, no listening to music. Actually, like music was not forbidden, but like music is like, it was in general that you say that I just said like, okay, I want to listen to less music. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm in. So he did the same. So this week we did this experiment of not listening to any podcasts. And it's so interesting because I feel very different now that like there's so much more quiet time in my life. It's not that like every second there's chatter in my head. And I think a bit is okay. But if you always have this, and like my thing is like I always listen to podcasts, and I don't think this is so good. So, yeah, I just did nothing, a bit, in between. Like, it's without this podcast, without this always noise in your head, it feels like, yeah, for me breaks are like more regenerative. I just, at the same time as I think like, okay, I'm missing something because I could be learning something right now, is like, no, those times when I don't listen to podcasts, like I can actually be way more conscious. I can be way more in the moment. I can enjoy way more. And yeah, since I stopped listening to podcasts in the last week, the joy of work kind of came back. Of course, like not completely, and it's not that like I'm like sitting in front of the computer for 12 hours a day. I'm like, amazing. But yeah, it's definitely better. I'm enjoying way more, and most of the time I'm having a blast sitting in the library next to Mark and some other friends like that drop by, and just hard work. So yeah, without this podcast, this month I'm playing around with this idea a bit, or this week I'm playing around with this idea a bit of like allowing myself to do nothing. So yesterday, for example, I just took a chair, I put it on the roof of the house where I live in, and I just sat there. And I just sat there for 30 minutes. And I was like, that's okay. Because you have to imagine that in the last 3 months, I did essentially nothing but optimal stuff. Like, okay, of course, it was not all optimal, but I was definitely striving for all optimal. And so for last month, for the last 3 months, every decision I make is like super optimized, and everything is fast, and everything is no breaks, and now I decided like, yeah, it's okay. I feel like sitting on the roof for a bit. So I sat there for 30 minutes, and after, okay, I sat there for very long. And at some point, after sitting there for very long, I was like, I'm good. I think I did enough nothing now. I want to work again now. So I come back in, and of course, because my time tracking app tracks everything, I can always see how long my breaks were. And I come back and I expect to see like 1.5 hours or something. And I look at at the app, and it's like 28 minutes. And I'm like, what? 28 minutes? Like if I listen to podcasts and eat something, like a break is like this 50 minutes. And now that I actually allow myself to do nothing and like fully be present in this moment of the break, a 28-minute break feels like restorative, like I just took 1.5 hours break. So I think that was like a big breakthrough. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna apply this for the rest of like for the future, because I do want to listen to some podcasts because I think it's incredibly valuable, and you can learn so much by just spending some of your time. Like the price is like, why should I not listen to podcasts while cleaning my room? Why should I not listen to podcasts while... Okay, yeah, cleaning is I think the best thing. But I have to really think on a strong policy when it's allowed, because even cleaning is so much more enjoyable if you don't listen to podcasts. And in the evenings when I stretch, it's so enjoyable without podcasts. And with podcasts, it's like it's more numb. Like and it kind of later decreases. I feel like it decreases my dopamine, and it makes me enjoy work less. So yeah, that was a bit a struggle learning this month. Another thing is I had kind of a big revelation on my health. And this is because of this beautiful thing on my arm, which is an Apple Watch, which I have for nearly 2 years now. And I'm tracking all my stuff. but I never realized something, and that is that in 2023, end of 2023, all my health metrics get like way worse. So I have at that time I had a resting heart rate of 45 beats per minute and like very high HRV. And within 3 months, this resting heart rate went from 45 to 55. And if you know something about like resting heart rate, this is bad. Like 10 beats more is a lot more, and this is a very bad sign. That's a sign that you like there's something wrong in your body. But I didn't notice. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I never really looked at it. And now I was really looking at my data, and because one thing is I have figured out that I have high blood pressure, and I'm like, okay, what do? I have high blood pressure. I want to look at my data because I actually want to find the cause. And so I'm looking at this data and I see, why is this spike there? And I was really thinking about it. And then I realized something, and that is that in those months, I got to know like my friends here, and we have some kind of ritual where when we meet, we make a lot of food, and then we eat a lot of food, and we eat so much food that afterwards it's hard to walk, hard to breathe because we ate so much. And for some reason, this got like a habit. And what made it even worse is that I started to do 1 meal a day, so I only ate once a day, and it really destroyed my health metrics. And then for one day I tried to not do it, and it was so crazy because instantly, like super high heart rate, resting heart rate, it dropped. And it is so clear in my data that I can see like, okay, when I eat once a day, I have a resting heart rate of 55. If I eat twice or more times a day and I don't overeat, I have a resting heart rate of like 40, let's say 46, 47, sometimes 45, sometimes also 50, but like that depends on how much I worked out on the day before. So yeah, that's a big learning that like, okay, don't overeat. There's actually a reason for it. Take your time, eat not so much, and like I'm telling it for me. I don't know about you. So, but this is a big revelation, and from this revelation, because I didn't really notice it. Like, why didn't I feel that this is bad for my body? Why do I have to have like this tracker that tells me, hey, there's something wrong? Why? And this kind of opened my eyes to like, okay, how valuable can tracking be? And also because I did so much machine learning, I was like, I'm playing on a turtle data set where I try to predict their age, which is a bit ironic because I want to work on aging anyway, but like it's a dummy turtle data set. Why can't I work on something actually useful? Like, why can't I just take my health data and analyze it? Why can't I take my health data and try to figure out like which habits have what influence on my health? And yeah, of course, I don't have enough data. So I decided like to try to track a bit more data, and I started to track my food now, not because I feel like I'm eating unhealthy. I think I'm eating extremely healthy, and except a lot of peanut butter. But I just want to see what this, if I have this data, I can do some ML or no, just some data analysis. It doesn't even have to be ML. You can just put it into R and do some basic stuff and see, is like, okay, is there maybe a food that has like a more negative impact on my body? So I not only started tracking food, I like track a bunch of stuff now, and I just want to try this like more quantified life where I really track the things I care about, which is my work output, my happiness. Okay, let's say it's my happiness, number one, my work, and yeah, actually those are like the two main things. That like, okay, I wanna be happy, and I wanna get my stuff done because I think also it makes me happy, and because of a bunch of other reasons that I don't have to go into right now. But so when I get a lot of focused work, that's good. If I'm very happy, that's good. And my health is extremely important because I think it's the cornerstone for both of this. Like I can't, like if you're unhealthy, it's way harder to be happy. If there's something wrong with hormones, it's super hard to be happy. If you can't move, it's super hard to be happy. I think, and this is what I learned when studying psychology, and also I think it's a bit of human common sense. And this is also a cornerstone for being able to do focused work. So what I decided to do is that I track all of that to really have see input output. And if I see, okay, if I eat this thing for some reason, if I eat sauerkraut, I can't focus. This is completely random and it's probably not true, but probably if I eat a lot of peanut butter, I can sleep worse. I guess that's maybe true. Or if I listen to podcasts, I feel worse. That is a thing that I didn't track. I would love to have tracked my happiness levels for the last year, because then I could literally look how much I listen to podcasts and how happy I am. In the end, it would be correlational. So I'm not, of course, if it's causational, I don't know. I have to do the experiment for this, which I did this week, which I will do more of in the future. But at least I would have more data. So yeah, now I'm trying to track a lot, and just also, even if I don't use it immediately, for example, I have an app now that logs into a CSV file every couple of minutes my location, and then I might never use this in my life, or at some point I'm gonna do an analysis and see oh, actually when I go to study in library, I'm way less focused than when I study at home. Unlikely, I think it's the other way around, but just tracking and seeing what it teaches me. Yeah, two cool things. I managed to deadlift at 210 kilos, which I'm really proud of, because I didn't that's a lot. And I also managed to bench press 125 kilos, and I never really bench press. So that's really cool. I think I want to do a bit more. I have a friend that's really into powerlifting, and we always turn legs together, and he showed me okay, how does deadlifting work, and bench press is quite intuitive. So now I'm seeing I'm mainly doing calisthenics, but now I want to try to do once a week or something, try to do a bit of deadlifts, a bit of maybe bench press, a bit of squats, and see how heavy I can go, because it's kind of fun. And yeah, my squat is not that good. I think my highest squat was 150 kilos or 160 kilos. But I never, I never went to failure. I don't know, with squat I don't feel as confident right now. So I have to, when I feel confident enough, I will go. I don't know how heavy I will go. I will tell you in the next month. I think that's all. Cool that you're still here. Yeah, see you next month. Thank you for listening. If you want to reach out, my email is hi@iliasschlee.com. I have a website that's iliasschlee.com where I write down all the stuff. It's very, on the website actually I can show, maybe. Wait. Yeah, I have a bunch of articles of stuff that I did, and iliasschlee.com. Yeah, you can see here, there's my AAML project, my biology project. I worked at a pop-up city that's called Zella City. I made a thing about that. I did a 100-hour meditation retreat. I did a video about that. I cycled 5,000 kilometers. I did a video about that. I had a podcast. Actually, if you listen to those podcasts on Spotify, you know. So the Rational Optimization podcast, which is turned into my longevity diary podcast, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Have a good month, and see you in May. Oh no. Yeah, see you in May, and reflection is then in April. Gonna be a great month. Bye bye.